Alright, so it's only been, what, a few months since I first posted the first part of the caves? Oh well, with that out of the way all the same, still time for caves 2. And we started right away with another Nano Dragon. Now, I might end up repeating myself a little bit from the first one, but first we have a brand new enemy type. Say hello to the Puffly Slime, or however the hell you want to pronounce that one. These ones are kind of annoying as they spend most of their time invulnerable, but essentially how they work is just get a good shot in on them when they come up above the ground, and they'll go ahead and just take the damage from that one. But not only that, but there's two ways to make these things actually start splitting. Either you use spells like Rabarda, which seem to do it consistently, or you can hit them with the last hit of your combo. This was something I picked up on after a while. Also, droids can actually deal with them a little nicer because traps can still hit them when they're stuck in their little, on the ground form there. So yeah, it's kind of funny with these things. Droids have a hard time splitting them, but they have a much easier time killing them, so it actually works out to have a nice little team going on. These also have a rare form as well, which may or may not show up later. We'll see. Well, since another one was nice enough to spawn, I may as well elaborate. If you want to go ahead and try to trigger the third hit of your combo on purpose, what you can do is when you press the attack button, if you switch to your secondary palette, so it's usually just pressing R on the controller, immediately while you're pressing the fire button, you'll kind of shoot a blank like I have been here. Also, here's what I was talking about with Photon Blast from the Meg video previously. Once you've taken enough damage, or done enough damage as well, you'll have this to use. This one here is Farla. It's the standard Hunter one that you get for the Hunter's first Meg evolution. And as you can see, the damage for that was kinda unimpressive. It's fire elemental, so anything that's actually weak to fire will take more damage from that. However, thanks to my Meg synchronization right now being so poor, the actual damage on that was pretty pathetic. I'll be sure to show off many of the other Photon Blasts later, but as you may have also noticed, once the bar filled up to 100, there's also a strange wave going around my character. It's kind of like the little yellow circles that are going around me. What it was that was actually the Meg triggering the invulnerability special effect, and during the entire period in which that's blinking, you're actually fully invulnerable. But for now that the bar is actually filled up and I've released a Photon Blast, it gives me a good opportunity to quickly head back to Pioneer 2 and just deal with some item management. Because that's the thing, if you want to keep feeding your Meg, you need to regularly go and sell some of the junk that you've been carrying around. You'll get a pretty good feel for stuff you don't need anymore after just taking a look at what you're picking up, and just picking which ones you actually want to keep. Now, with a lot of this stuff, I don't actually need it. I thought about keeping the Angel Mine for a bit, but I don't need it, because honestly, this is a droid character, and the Angel Mine is not the most impressive slot out there. But now we need to actually go deal with the question sword. So here's the Techer. And what this guy does is he'll go ahead and reveal unrevealed items for you. Now the thing is, he's kind of inconsistent. With the ones that aren't special weapons in general, so ones like this, he'll go ahead and give it a special effect. The category will always be the same no matter how many times you try to reveal it, but the strength of it will change, like how it was Ice Sword at first and then Frost Sword. And not only that, but the percentages that you see on the weapon when you're looking at it before you reveal it, those percentages can increase by 10% if you keep trying with the Techer stubbornly enough. This gets really important when you're revealing rare weapons, as then you want to make sure they come out as good as possible. He can also do minus 10%, so make sure he's not being a jerk, because sometimes they can be really stubborn, like ridiculously stubborn. There have been some times where I was sitting there for 5-10 minutes just trying to get him to reveal the damn thing properly, because I wanted my percentages. It gets really important later. For now as well, I also don't need many of the stronger healing items, because a mono wing pretty much fills me up to full. But with that quick little trip, it's back into the caves. So after all that assaulting you with information for quite a while right at the start there, we can finally actually take a look at Caves 2 and focus on that. As you can see, we've gone from the red fiery caves to kind of a calmer, watery type of caves. And honestly, Caves 2 is probably the most interesting part of the stage, as it gets quite pretty later on, and gives you a lot more to look at than the other places. The fiery caves are particularly boring. That's, with the particular background music for the caves, nothing's all that exciting. I mean, look at this room here, though, for example. It's actually kind of nice looking. It has a nice little background effect going on with it. Basically, you'll find a lot of little side rooms like this in caves too. They tend to be a little bit mazy, so you have a little bit of a difficult time finding your way around, but once you see the layouts a few times, you'll get pretty used to which ways you need to go. And even with all these different twists and turns, I'm kind of being good about trying to just go everywhere on the stage. If not only for the experience, then just for making sure to show the entire stage. As you know, sometimes there's interesting little things hidden off in side rooms. It's not very often, mind you, but they are there. And it gives us more opportunities to see things like rare creatures. And yeah, here's just a quick demonstration. When dealing with the slimes, if you don't want to split them and try to find, like, have the highest chance of finding the rare slime, take out the strongest single hitting weapon you have, or just whatever does the most damage in one attack, and just smack them around. Because the more damage you do with the one attack you get on them, the faster you'll take them down overall. And so just a little bit of backtracking here to see what in the world's going on in this way. It's kind of funny because you can usually rely on the message boxes from Ring Rico to show you the way. But every now and then they will take you on a wrong turn. They are pretty consistent though, so just make sure to watch them. And if you want to just try to speed your way through the level, those would be the best ways to go. This kind of is actually one of the more dull routes available too, since it takes you through more of the just plain blue rooms for the longest time. But that's okay. It could have been a lot worse, honestly. I've never been too fond of the caves overall, just because they are kind of boring, and the enemy types aren't that interesting either. Especially when you have to deal with the upgraded lilies in Ultimate, but it's not the worst area. And it's decently fun to play at least. So you may recall me constantly going on about the importance of accuracy. Well, here's a good example. If this was on the highest difficulty, I probably would have gotten shot at a couple of times with instant death. Yeah, and this is the most accurate hunter in the game right here, so it can be a problem from time to time. There are ways to get around it, and here we have another mandatory two-person door, so I hope you have a friend all the way through caves if you're not in one-person mode. And hey, a quick brief little look there at the midway representation room of Caves 2. As I mentioned, with the layouts kind of being jumbled around in Caves and onward, you'll start seeing these particular rooms that always seem to get tossed about halfway through the stage, and that's the one for Caves right there. Now, as you may remember, there were sections that I didn't go to previously, and as I said before, I'm going to be trying to visit all the different areas of each of the floors. Now, this does mean backtracking every now and then, and it will take a while to go through certain areas, as they have a lot of areas that are completely optional. But, you know, more experience and everything else of the like, I'm probably going to end up over-leveled anyways, just because of the triple EXP on this particular server. But, you know, at least it means I don't have to do any off-screen grinding for the videos, except for the other characters, but we'll get into that more later. For now, though, another demonstration of... Hey, what? Aha! So Caves is like one of the only places where you'll see this very rare trap. It's that green trap you can see off in the corner. It's actually a healing trap. No, it's not like droids ever get this. This is just something you see in like a couple of instances in Caves and almost nowhere else ever. Ever! It's like somebody just came up with the idea partway through developing the Caves area and then forgot about it for the rest of the game. But yeah, quick demonstration. They trigger just like any other shell, but they're the green ones in color, and they give everybody around them a heal. It's pretty nice, and unfortunately they're just not used anywhere near as often as they could be. Instead, if you want to heal, you're going to have to rely on your teammates if they have healing abilities, your items, or, you know, maybe you'll get lucky and run into a healing ring. But when it comes to HP, you're not going to be sitting around with your HP down all that often. Especially later on in the game where things are going to smash you for over a quarter of your HP at once. Heck, that even happens to certain classes even in the lowest levels, so just learn to be careful. And the game is all too happy to just feed the antidotes to me, so that'll keep my bank happy at least. It wants to eat everything. Everything! I swear the things try to eat you out of house and home, especially if you're a force. It's not so bad with a hunter though, because they don't have to really rely on very much. And heck, it's even easier for a ranger since they're lazy. Oh, but yes, now we can actually see this room for real, and it's actually very, very pretty. I definitely like Caves 2 a lot more than any of the other sections. It has a lot more of a nature vibe going on for it, and less dank, depressing underground cave. Although, you know, fiery caves are pretty neat, but they could have did a lot more with them, I guess. Once we actually get through this room, we'll kind of take a look at what the majority of Caves 2 tends to look like, as we've kind of been stuck in a route where we're stuck in the really dark blue rooms of nothing for the longest time. Whereas now we're getting into the much more, as I mentioned before, kind of nature-y feel to it. And here I thought it was a good idea to try and run through the traps to see if they wouldn't trigger early, but it didn't work for this room. It works sometimes. Hi, another Darlily! So, about the rare enemies, as you would probably expect with the encounter rate that they have, you probably shouldn't see two in the same run of a stage. To say the least. Well, then I found out that this saber actually has an increased appearance rate for these things. However, this was still a lot of appearances, regardless of the increased rate, so... I'll take it though, they're worth completely gigantic EXP at this rate. Triple EXP for a rare monster that's already a heavy boost? Yeah, sure, why not? Let's go ahead and get overpowered! Or something. Oh, and nice of me to get a level up just before the healing ring. Not that I've really been using my traps anyways, but they're always something to look forward to if you're barely scraping by. And hey, handgun plus 8, can't really complain about that too much. Now I can have all the power with my firearm, by which I mean depressingly small amounts of power because it's a basic handgun. Oh well. And here we got a new shield as well. Aptly named shield. It's a little bit better than the barrier, but when will we get the barrier shield? Oh. Ah, still many more places to go. So, I guess the game figured it just didn't want to put enemies in this room this time, as normally when you run into this particular room, it is quite filled. So that's why you just saw the doors unlocking themselves, because, you know, normally it's supposed to be at least be something in there. Also, Caves 2 is really fond of making you go just take a side route to get the next way open and ready to go. Usually in these more open, watery rooms. But hey, you know, might as well take a look at this quick little side room first. It has one of the Red Ring Rico capsules, which I'll probably show at the beginning of the next area, like I did with this one. While they're not the most interesting things, at least gives a little look into the story. And hey, you know, after all this time, I don't think I've ever talked about the gill sharks yet. Or guile sharks, or... Actually, no, there's a silly mental image for you. A guile shark. Well, I guess an underwater sonic boom would look interesting. I mean, it'd be Ripley and whatnot. They're basically the Gugabumas of this area. Thus, they're more powerful, have slightly more HP, and they're kind of big. They do actually have a different elemental resistance than the other two sharks, though, so no spamming foil on everything. You do actually have to break into something else every now and then. Also, some of the traps do look a little bit larger than one another, and this is actually proportional to the type of damage that they'll do as well. Sometimes you can get quite a surprise. There have been a number of times where I've been under-leveled going into somewhere, and then I just get absolutely creamed by this gigantic trap, and it completely takes me out in one hit. It's just very surprising, to say the least. I'm used to traps just being this negligible thing, since, you know, non-droids will just use Resta afterwards, and droids will just shoot the damn things before they explode. So, yeah, you know, every now and then a trap will surprise you. Although, if there are ways in which traps can really become annoying, for non-droids at least, such as ones that freeze you, because then, yes, they did damage to you, but they also froze you for the enemies to maul you to death. You know, fun stuff like that. There's also different varieties of traps that are there to just waste your time. Like ones that just confuse you so you run around aimlessly. And here we have the pillar for the cave stage. As I probably mentioned before, you needed to find all these pillars through your playthroughs of the stage on the GameCube version, or any other version prior to it, as they were responsible for unlocking the final area of Episode 1. You'd keep track of which pillars you pushed, and you would have to do it in each difficulty, so just doing it in normal wouldn't be good enough. You'd have to find them in hard, very hard, and ultimate as well. And god dang it, Meg, you just eat everything! That's what you eat! But you gain so many levels! And here we have an instance, and this actually happens a lot in Caves 2, where the switch you need to deactivate this particular fence was a little bit further in the stage than the 4-person door we needed to activate to get in here. And yeah, you saw that. You needed to activate a 4-person door in order to get into this pillar. Now, since you only had to actually unlock those in 1-person mode, or offline mode, it didn't really matter if it was behind the multi-person door, because then you could just activate it anyways. Oh my... Is that another Gnarlily? Really? Really, game? Really? I mean, I really like the red color that they have going for them, but... yeah, even past me, it's just like, what the hell? Another one? You see, I still play on this server even now, and the rare enemy appearance rate, while more generous, this is very generous. Oh, if only they actually gave me something useful, like a stat increasing material or something. Ooh, that'll be a fun speech to get into in the future, but, you know me, daggers are not the way to go if you want to kill a slime. Switch to the saber. The sword is technically the best thing to do because it has higher base attack power than the saber, but technicalities. Yeah, it's kind of nice actually breaking away to these rooms after being in the dank, depressing, dark blue rooms all the first half of this area. I suppose if I really wanted to, I could walk all the way back to get those couple of item drops, but no. No, instead, what I'm going to do is find the way to Cave 3. So, it was a pretty short visit into this nice area of the caves, but we've already made it to the end of it. But now it's time for more item management. We must get rid of everything first, so let's speed this up. Alright, and with our inventory freshly cleaned out, it's time to head to the last area of the caves, Caves 3. See you next time!